Today on Bakes and Blenders, we are making Saint Nick cookies, one of my favorite Christmas cookie traditions. We'll start by combining our dry ingredients. I've got a bowl of my all-purpose flour. I'm going to sift in my powdered sugar to get rid of any lumps. Then I'm going to add the ground ginger, baking soda, and salt. Give the ingredients a good whisk to make sure that they are well combined, then go ahead and set the bowl aside. In a large bowl, go ahead and add your softened unsalted butter, your dry ingredients, and your white vinegar. With a hand mixer, you're going to beat the ingredients together on a low speed until you have a cohesive dough. This process will take a few minutes and you will want to stop and scrape the bowl down every now and then. At first, the dough is going to look very dry and crumbly, but after a few minutes, you will notice that it comes together into a nice soft dough. You'll find the recipes used in this video in the description box below. Now, my grandmother has a note on this recipe that if the dough does look too dry, you can add milk 1 teaspoon at a time, but I have never had to do this. Just keep that in mind. On a lightly floured pastry mat, go ahead and roll your dough out to about 1/8 inch thick. The great thing about this cookie dough is that you don't necessarily have to chill it first. If you're finding that it is too sticky to work with or melting, then I do suggest wrapping it up and putting it in the fridge for a bit before you continue. You can also work in batches. Sometimes I like to divide the dough into maybe 2 portions, wrap one up, keep it in the fridge while I work with the first portion of dough. It's up to you. I love using this rolling pin because it has different size guides that you can attach to the side of the pin to get a perfectly even dough. Once your dough's all rolled out, you can take your favorite cookie cutters, I'm using holiday themed ones today, and stamp out your cookie shapes. When I'm baking these cookies, I prefer to keep the entire pan one shape, just so that I know that they're all going to bake at the same time and evenly. You can use a small offset spatula to help very gently and carefully transfer your cookie shapes onto a prepared baking sheet. You can find links to the products that I've used in the description box below this video. These cookies will bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 6 to 8 minutes or until they are lightly golden brown around the edge. Now, your bake time could be slightly different than mine by a minute or two. It really depends on the thickness that you roll your dough out to and the size of the cookie cutter that you're using. While one tray is in the oven, I like to re-roll my scraps and start stamping out the cookies for my second cookie tray. Now, here's a few tips for you. As you're rolling out your dough, if it ever gets a little bit sticky but you can still work with it, just throw in a light sprinkle of flour either on your cookie dough, on your mat, or on your rolling pin to prevent any messes. You also want to make sure that you're always giving time for your cookie sheets to cool down after they've been in the oven before you put more cookies on them. Otherwise, your dough is going to melt and get disgusting before you even get them in the oven. Now, these cookies are absolutely delicious plain, and that's how I used to eat them as a kid. But now my son loves to decorate these cookies, and that's always a fantastic option too. You can just whip up a small batch of buttercream and use your favorite piping tips to add a little life to the shapes of your cookies. I hope you enjoyed this cookie tutorial today. This recipe has been in my family for generations now, and it's a very important part of the holiday season for me and my family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Happy baking!